10 days and 9 hours. That's not a streamathon timer. That's a countdown to a human being. And in that bed, propped on pillows, a bag of cornstarch chunks open on the blanket. Chat flying too fast to read. Blueface isn't asking Nevaeh Akira about the nursery. He's asking her to prove a phone call. On camera. In front of thousands. The wild part. She already told him about the call. He knew. Everybody in that room apparently knew. But the chat said jump. And for the next stretch of that stream, a woman days from giving birth had to audition her own honesty while the gifted subs piled up. I watched this clip twice. Second time was worse. Real quick, before the door closes behind us. If this kind of autopsy is your speed, hit like, subscribe, tap the bell. When this baby actually arrives, the follow-up is already loading. Alright, back to that bed. Mid-August 2026. A Kick live stream from the bedroom. Blueface and Nevaeh Akira have basically turned into a studio apartment with a ring light. She's reportedly due within days. One countdown mentioned on stream put it at 10 days and 9 hours. And the Shade Room documented the couple flexing the positive test back in February. What was supposed to be a lazy subathon, cornstarch unboxing, labor induction plans, follow-back offers, veered when the chat started insisting Nevaeh had been calling somebody. A man. From last year. And Blue decided to run the interrogation live. And before we go any further, sit with the setting for a second, because the setting is doing work. This isn't a studio. This isn't a green room. This is the bed a baby is supposed to be conceived out of and born into. Blankets, pillows, chargers, a snack bag, a phone tripod. The lighting on that stream reportedly came from a single ring light angled from the foot of the mattress, which means every twitch of Nevaeh's jaw, every eye roll from Blue, every time she reached for the cornstarch bag to buy herself a second, the camera caught it. There was nowhere to hide, no backstage, no cut to commercial. The interrogation happened in the exact square footage where, allegedly, this whole family is about to start, and the timing sits inside a broader Kick moment worth naming. Kick, the streaming platform Blueface has been leaning on since his release, for multiple outlets that have logged his moves in Complex, has spent the last year courting rap-adjacent talent with looser content rules and richer sub splits than Twitch. The couple isn't streaming from that bed by accident. Kick rewards duration. Kick rewards conflict. Kick rewards the kind of hours-long unpredictability that a 9-month pregnant woman defending a phone call happens to generate. Understand the venue, and you already understand half the incentive. Now watch how this unfolds. Start with the words. Just the words. November 3rd, 2025. The day Blueface walked out of California State Prison after serving 21 months of a 4-year sentence for a probation violation tied to a 2021 assault. His first public statement posted to Instagram. Still that N*********. 2 years later, on the dead homies. Flat. No reunion speech. No gratitude tour. A man announcing the interruption was over. And read that caption again with the timeline in mind. Still that N********. Not back. Not returning. Not grateful. Still. As if the 21 months were a commercial break, not a chapter. That single word is the mission statement for everything that follows, including a live stream 9 months later where a due date countdown ticks in the corner of a bedroom. Fast forward to January 14th. After Nevaeh reacted to Stunna Girl popping up on his live stream, Blueface logged onto X and typed, Nevaeh has been cut from the roster. She did not make the team. This is a dictatorship, not a democracy. A roster. He said that about a woman he was living with his whole chest. That roster language isn't new to him, either. Anyone who's followed the years of Blueface and Jaylen coverage across Complex and the reality show cycle knows he's used sports management vocabulary to describe partners before. Roster, cut, team, tryouts. It's a framework that keeps a man from ever having to say the word girlfriend out loud. And the tell inside the tweet is dictatorship, not a democracy. He named the power structure himself. No one is asking him to hide it, so he isn't. Then February 22nd. Twitch stream. 2 tests on camera. 1 reading pregnant. And Blue shouting, You having a Blueface baby? Woo! Congratulations. You made it. How does it feel? You made it. Like she cleared a combine. Like the roster had a promotion tier. Note the grammar there, too. You're having a Blueface baby. Not we're having a baby. Not our baby. A Blueface baby. The brand modifies the child before the child exists. That framing tracks with the way he'd already been marketing paternity in previous news cycles, where public disownings and reownings of children have been treated across outlets like content beats rather than family matters. Nevaeh's own words from that same stream deserve their own line. I aborted the last one, but it feels immaculate. Okay, that's a sentence a person said out loud, and honestly, I'm still sitting with it. There's no clean way to gloss past that quote, and no clean way to unpack it either. So I'll just mark the shape of it. A private medical decision, delivered publicly, described in religious language, on a live stream monetized by gifted subscriptions. Every layer of that sentence pushes an intimate thing further into a public arena. And once the pregnancy became content, every subsequent decision, cravings, sponsors, arguments, countdowns, got pulled into the same current. And then the admission that reframed everything after it. One day after being spotted with Chrisian Rock at a Los Angeles bow party, Blueface told Nevaeh on stream, "I cheated. I know. Sorry." Her answer, "There's no reason to say sorry if you had intentions on doing it." That response is the coldest thing in this entire story. And it's not close. Read it slow. There's no reason to say sorry if you had intentions on doing it. That's not a woman processing betrayal. That's a woman quoting the fine print back to a man who thought he was closing a loophole. It's the sentence of someone who has, at minimum, already accepted the terms of engagement, which is important because it means by the time we get to the bedroom interrogation months later, Nevaeh is not standing where a first-time hurt partner would stand. She's already been through the cheating admission cycle. She's already answered it in ice. And Blueface has already learned that this particular partner doesn't fold on impact. She absorbs and continues. That knowledge is the entire foundation of the coaching drill we're about to walk through. Which brings us to the bedroom, 10 days out, and the line that should be printed on a coaching clipboard. You don't got to oversell the truth. All you got to do is tell it and move on. He said that to her, while making her prove it, on live. Circle that quote, and keep it near you. It's going to become the skeleton key of the second half of this breakdown. Don't oversell, just tell it and move on. That is not a boyfriend's line. That is a media trainer's line. That is a publicist's line. That is a man who has been interrogated himself, repeatedly, publicly, legally, teaching another person how to hold a story under pressure. And that's the crack in the door. Now lay the pieces flat, and look at the seams. Blue gets out November 3rd. Within days, reportedly almost immediately, he's linked with Nevaeh Akira, a content creator with a son named Superior from a previous relationship Instagram reel coverage. By December, she's got his government name tattooed on her, telling people she's locked in 5-ever. By mid-January, that roster tweet. By late January, she's on the phone during his seafood boil stream telling him she's carrying a baby. February 22nd, the test reveal. Somewhere in there, a Mercedes, which, fans noted, looked a lot like a man who already knew. Slow that sequence down, because compressed like that it reads as a normal celebrity dating arc, and it is absolutely not. Prison release to public linkage in a matter of days. Public linkage to permanent tattoo in weeks. Tattoo to roster cut, tweet in another handful of weeks. Roster cut to pregnancy announcement inside 40 days of that. If a screenwriter turned in that pacing, the studio would kick it back for being unbelievable. But because it happened one clip at a time, spread across TikTok and IG Reels and Kick VODs, most of the audience never got the chance to see it laid end to end. Laid end to end. It looks less like romance and more like a launch schedule. And there's a detail buried in that Mercedes moment worth surfacing. When Blueface pulled up in a new car around the same window as the pregnancy reveal, per the coverage compiled by the Shade Room, commenters immediately clocked it. The read from the group chat was, "That's a man who already knew." Meaning, the surprise on the test reveal stream may not have been a surprise at all, which lines up unervingly with the coaching frame we're about to enter. If the pregnancy reveal was pre-briefed, the interrogation stream almost certainly was too. Spring into summer, the bow party with Chrisian. The cheating admission 24 hours later. Then the Jason Lee show, where Blueface publicly disowned Krazian Jr., and weeks after that, reportedly brought Krazian herself out on stage during his set, while Nevaeh watched it unfold and reacted from his own streaming room. That sequence deserves its own beat. Public disowning of a child on a talk show is already scorched earth. Bringing the mother of that same disowned child out on stage weeks later is a different kind of scorched earth. It's not conflict, it's contradiction. And contradiction is exactly the ingredient the internet feeds on hardest. Every cycle where those two names orbit each other, the numbers spike. Every outlet that has to explain the disowning again picks up the story again. And every time Nevaeh reacts from Blueface's own streaming room, the household stays visible even while the man is physically elsewhere. It's a distributed content network with two hubs, his stage, her bedroom, and one through line, her reaction. So by the time we reach this bedroom stream, the pressure isn't random. The chat tells Blue that Nevaeh be calling people. He asks for the clip, and what tumbles out, once you strip the crosstalk, is this. Some man from last year has allegedly been posting clips and messages claiming he was with Nevaeh. First saying September, then saying November. Nevaeh says she had Jaylen call the man to fish for proof the claims were fake, that she told Blueface that same day, that there was nothing secret about it. Actually, hold on. Back up. Because this part is the part. September, November of last year. Blueface was behind bars until November 3rd. So whoever this man is, whatever he allegedly claimed, he's pointing directly at the window when Blue was finishing a bid and Nevaeh was stepping into the picture. That's why a random, she called somebody, from a chat gremlin didn't get laughed off. That's why Blue, who already knew about the call, still ran the full drill. The timestamps strike at the exact seam of this relationship. And when Nevaeh snapped, "It's August. Why is you still talking about November and September?" She wasn't confused about calendars. She was pointing at how long the allegation has been hanging over the crib. And then, mid-argument, Blue dropped the tell. Once this baby come out, the rest the case is rested. A due date is a verdict. Keep that in your pocket. Because think about what a phrase like that actually does. The case is rested is legal language. It's what a defense attorney says when they're finished presenting. Blueface is a man with documented courtroom exposure, per XXL. The vocabulary isn't decorative for him. When he tells his pregnant partner that a birth will rest the case, he's borrowing a term from the arena he actually knows and applying it to a child. That's not romantic. That's not even paranoid. That's procedural. He's treating paternity like a verdict he's waiting on. And Nevaeh, who just answered a cheating admission with "there's no reason to say sorry if you had intentions on doing it," is not going to react to that phrasing like a normal partner would. She's going to file it, which she does. She keeps talking. She keeps rolling. The stream continues. That's how you know the game is not what the surface looks like. Zoom in. Not on the scene, on the fragments. First lens, the word prove. Count how it moves through the stream. Prove it. Prove what you just said. If you can't prove it, then you lost. And then the reveal of the actual game. I'm not talking about me. I know everything that's going on. I'm trying to coach you. Coaching. He even graded her afterward. Sharpening you up though. And told the chat. That's why we happened to give her a reality check every 5 minutes. This wasn't a man discovering a betrayal. By his own account, this was a training exercise. An interrogation drill, run on a woman 9 months pregnant, for an audience. The chat slang for getting played on camera is getting bled. And Blue narrated her performance like a cornerman. You getting bled right now, so he won that one. He scored it. I had to listen to that stretch 3 times. And listen to the vocabulary he chose to score her with. Coach. Sharpen. Reality check. Won that one. These are not the words of jealousy. Jealousy sounds like, who is he? Give me your phone. Why did you call? Coaching sounds like, prove what you just said. Because the coach already knows the answer. He's testing whether the student can hold it. Blue told the chat outright. I know everything that's going on. Which forces a hard question the mainstream cuts didn't sit with. If he already knows, what exactly is the drill for? And the answer forms itself the moment you look at the sub-counter. Second lens, the monetization of doubt. Right in the middle of the trust interrogation, Blue pivots to the audience. Sub up if y'all think she lying. It's easy to comment for free. Let's see if you're willing to pay for that. Read that again. Suspicion in his own relationship converted into a paywall mid-argument. 5 gifted subs became a vote that she's deceptive. He started calling her a Decepticon. Then the kicker, 10 gifted subs get you an Instagram follow back. This is not a drill. This is the real deal. The same stream that had her defending her fidelity had a loyalty rewards program running underneath it. That sub up if you think she lying beat is the most important 9 seconds of the entire stream. And almost nobody clipped it, because that's the moment the mask slips off the frame. A jealous boyfriend does not run a poll. A jealous boyfriend does not offer follow-back tears while his partner is being cross-examined. A jealous boyfriend does not, in the same breath, brand her a Decepticon as a merchandise-able nickname the chat can chant. Only a broadcaster does that. Only somebody who has already made peace with the outcome and is now trying to optimize the process does that. The audience wasn't watching a relationship crack open. The audience was funding the crack, 5 subs at a time, and being told they were the jury. Third lens, and it's small but it glows. The cornstarch. A small business, Bless Starch, run by a woman named Brianna, shipped Nevaeh a whole PR package of edible cornstarch chunks and cereal, and Nevaeh read the thank you note aloud like an ad read. Blue joked, "This bag right here, this is what ruined our marriage." Funny. But clock the texture. Even her pregnancy craving has a sponsor. Even the weird, intimate, slightly chaotic corners of that bedroom are content inventory. Nothing in that room is off the books, including, apparently, the truth drills. And this is where a 4th lens quietly opens, one you'd miss unless you rewatched. Nevaeh's effect. Across the stream, she cycles through a very specific emotional rotation. Defensive, then flat, then wry, then performative. She does not, at any point, cry. She does not raise her voice into the register a pregnant woman under actual public accusation might reach. She does not exit the stream. She does not remove the camera. She stays in frame the whole time. And by the back third, she starts volunteering material. The voodoo bit, the follow-back readouts, the sponsor ad reads. Somebody who has been genuinely bled on camera does not. 30 minutes later, cheerfully help sell subscriptions, which means either she is the toughest person in the room, or she was never in danger, because the danger was framing, not stakes. Both readings can be true. Both readings should make you rewatch this clip with different eyes. Now watch how the same stream got chopped 4 different ways. World Star took the comedy cut, Blueface going at his pregnant girlfriend while she struggled with the months, framing the September versus November exchange as a math fail blooper. Clean, shareable, haha pregnant brain. No mention of why the months mattered, which is the World Star playbook, and it works. The she can't remember months, LOL cut probably outperformed every other version by a wide margin. But the cost of that framing is analytical. Strip the calendar significance from the September/November argument, and you strip the entire load-bearing beam out of the story. Those specific months matter because Blue was incarcerated for both of them. World Star's frame turns the story into a pregnancy brain joke. The underlying story is a jurisdictional dispute over the period when a relationship was allegedly forming while one party was legally unavailable. Comedy sells better than chronology. Almost always does. The Shade Room's framing has been the spectacle frame all along. Tests flexed on stream. Fans flooding comments with, "Is that his baby? Weren't they broken up?" Turning the whole pregnancy into a group chat referendum. Their audience isn't following a couple, they're following a bracket. The Shade Room comment sections around this couple have been running the same 3 questions on repeat for months, per their published posts on the pregnancy reveal, the new car, and each incremental update. Is it his? Are they together? And is this real? That's not casual curiosity. That's a rotating verdict cycle. Every new stream refreshes the poll. Every new photo is submitted as evidence. The audience isn't consuming news about Blueface and Nevaeh. They're serving on a permanent grand jury, and that jury needs new evidence weekly to stay engaged, which is exactly what the bedroom interrogation delivered on schedule. Complex has stayed on the roster chaos beat, the dictatorship tweet, the cheating admission, the argument where he reportedly told her she had no potential in front of her son's superior. Their through line is a man running his personal life, like a franchise with open tryouts. That framing tracks back to Complex's older Blueface coverage, where the reality show As Life angle has been the through line for years. Their frame is the most institutionally consistent of the four. They treat every Blueface news event as another episode of the same long-running series, and this bedroom stream fits neatly as another chapter, which is honest reporting, but it also means Complex readers may have been slower to notice the shift here. The interrogation isn't more roster drama. The interrogation is a mechanical evolution. The moment the household stopped generating content by accident and started generating it on purpose. And Hollywood unlocked carved the Nevaeh POV angle, or watching the Krasian stage reunion from Blue's own streaming room. Can't wrap her mind around it. The confused partner frame. The Hollywood unlocked frame is the one that ages worst against the actual footage of this stream, and it's worth naming why. Confused partner watching from home is the empathy pose. It invites the audience to feel for Nevaeh. But this stream shows a Nevaeh who is not confused, is not passive, and is not merely reacting. She's producing. She's reading sponsor notes. She's laughing through the Decepticon bit. She's stepping into a co-host role by minute 40. The empathy pose only survives if you don't watch the whole VOD. 4 outlets for different movies. Same footage. Now, the loudest counter-narrative. You've seen it in every comment section. Y'all know this is all staged, right? It's rage bait. They do this for clips. And listen, there's real evidence for it. On this very stream, Blue told the chat, they're rage baiting you. When the phone call claims first surfaced, he knows the mechanics because he helped build them. Steelman granted, but the stage theory dies on one detail. The stakes don't reset. The roster tweet really sat on his page. The cheating admission really happened a day after a real boat party. There's a real baby reportedly due within days. You can choreograph drama. You cannot choreograph a due date. When a couple stages an argument, everybody goes home. When this one ends, there's a newborn in that bed. The same bed the chat watched her get coached in. The clips end. The archive doesn't. Add one more receipt to that pile. The tattoo. Nevaeh reportedly got his government name inked before either of them had cleared the 90-day mark. That's not a set piece. That's flesh. You cannot delete a tattoo when the season wraps. You can regret it. You can cover it. You cannot unrecord it. Every real-world commitment made during the content. The ink. The pregnancy. The shared address. The tests on camera. A crew's weight the staged theory can't hold. There's a version of the truth where much of the argument shape is performative and the underlying facts are real. Those aren't contradictions. They coexist. Reality TV is not fiction. It's real people prompted. Feel that shift. Good. Because here's what nobody printed. The mainstream read says this is a jealous man's story. Blueface insecure. Chat stirring. Nevaeh caught in a sloppy explanation. Sweet. Simple. Wrong direction entirely. Flip the lens for a second. The phone call was never the story. The phone call was inventory. Here's the claim. Blueface isn't losing control of his relationship narrative. He's mining it. Every soft spot, every accusation, every awkward silence in that bedroom is raw material, and he processes it in real time into engagement. Look at the mechanics we just walked through. He knew about the call beforehand, by his own words. He was coaching, not discovering. Which means the entire interrogation was performed for the audience's benefit, not his. He converted doubt into gifted subs while the doubt was still in the air. He turned Do You Trust Me into a tiered subscription product with a follow-back bonus. Say that out loud and the ecosystem around them reorganizes. The Krasian stage reunion isn't a lapse in judgment. It's an evergreen content asset the couple has learned to activate on demand. The roster tweet isn't insecurity leaking on Twitter. It's a demo of the frame. She's a hire, and the audience gets to watch performance reviews. The paternity language on the bedroom stream isn't a slip. It's a cliffhanger being planted for the birth week. Every so-called red flag is from a different angle, a feature bullet on a growing content company. And Nevaeh, she's not the victim of this economy. She's the newest hire. Watch her arc across the stream. Defensive at first, then conceding. Yeah, I lost this one. Then fully leaning in, laughing through the Decepticon jokes, announcing followbacks, casting mock voodoo spells. By the back half of the stream, She's not being interrogated anymore. She's co-hosting. That's not a woman getting exposed. That's an onboarding. An onboarding with visible skill acquisition. Notice how her sentences tighten as the stream goes on. Notice how she stops explaining and starts pitching. Reading sponsor notes. Teasing the follow-back tier. Playing bit characters against Blue's straight man. This is the arc of a broadcaster learning the room in real time. If you've watched enough Kick and Twitch content, you've seen this shade before. The co-streamer who joins the couch confused, and by hour 3, is running the chat like they've been there for a year. What she picked up on that bed, she cannot unlearn. Which becomes important the moment the relationship, the actual romantic one, decides to move. It also reframes, once the baby come out. The rest the case is rested. People heard paternity. Maybe. But in this economy, a birth is also a season finale, and they've been seeding cliffhangers for months. The unnamed man's claims, the roster cut, the boat party, the Krasian stage reunion. Every one of those is a thread that can be pulled for content after the baby arrives. The case isn't resting. It's being renewed. Consider the release calendar implicit in that phrasing. A DNA reveal has an entire genre of stream around it, and every household that has ever hinted at one has milked at least 3 separate streams from the runway. Pre-swab tension, results announcement, post-results reaction. That's a full month of top-line content off one procedure. And that's before any of the ancillary spin-offs, the What If pod episodes, the reaction videos, the sit-down interview with a chosen outlet, the merch drop time to the drama. The case is rested, is not the end of the story. It's the marketing copy for the finale of the season, which by definition sets up the next one. And to the opposition, let's be direct. To the chat detectives who think they exposed anything. You didn't crack a case. You triggered a content trigger he was already holding. To the man allegedly posting September then November screenshots. Your timeline wobbles harder than a folding chair. And if you've got proof, August of the following year is a strange time to remember it. To the it's all fake crowd. Half right, which still makes you wrong. And to anyone calling Nevaeh naive. She's reading sponsor notes aloud mid-interrogation. Naive people don't monetize their own cross-examination. Add one more line to that list, because it needs saying. To the outlets running the confused partner empathy angle, you're doing her a disservice. Treating Nevaeh like a passive object of Blueface drama erases the actual thing she's doing on that stream, which is work. Skilled work. Performative work under enormous pressure. You don't have to like the industry she's building inside of to acknowledge the craft. Framing her as a victim of a coaching drill, she visibly stepped into flattens her into a prop. She is not a prop. She's a co-founder now, whether the paperwork says so or not. The bedroom is in a relationship that became content. It's content that learned to dress like a relationship. Sit with that inversion, because it changes the moral math of the whole story. If a relationship becomes content, we usually feel bad for the people inside it. The cameras corrupted something pure. But if content dressed itself up as a relationship, then nobody in the frame is a hostage. Everybody at that address signed a contract with the audience, some in ink, some in tattoo, some in a due date countdown, which means the ethical anxiety a lot of viewers feel watching this clip, that queasy is this okay isn't misplaced. It's just aimed at the wrong target. It's not the couple you should feel weird about. It's the format. So where does this go? 3 paths. No labels, just weather. The most likely landing. Watch how the birth itself becomes the biggest stream of their lives. Within days, the countdown said 10. Nevaeh goes into labor. And don't be shocked when the camera's already positioned. Curb walking, midwife brew, raspberry tea. They crowdsourced labor induction to the chat on this stream. That's the trailer. The baby arrives, the case is rested, clip resurfaces within hours, and the verdict moment, whatever it means, pulls numbers neither of them has ever touched. Expect the unnamed man's screenshots to quietly evaporate by fall. His failure is already written. His only leverage was a timeline, and the timeline is about to expire. Watch also for the crossover economy around that stream. Kick's rap-adjacent creator pool has learned how to piggyback on each other's tent poles. A birth stream from this household will draw guest appearances, reaction hosts, and clip farm outlets like WorldStar, Complex, and Hollywood Unlocked all racing to be first to the recap. And because the household has been seeding the case as rested phrase for weeks, expect the recap headlines to write themselves. Some variation of Blueface rests his case is already sitting in draft folders at 3 different outlets. That's not a prediction. That's just how the machine has behaved every previous cycle. The table flip path. By the first month of newborn life, expect the Krasian thread to get pulled again. It always does. The stage reunion after a public disowning proved nothing stays buried in this ecosystem, and Krasian has never once let a Blueface news cycle pass without entering it. Once the birth announcement trends, don't be surprised when she posts, performs, or live streams something that drags the spotlight sideways, and the real test lands on Nevaeh, who'll have to decide in real time whether co-host survives a certified veteran chaos agent. If she fumbles that window, the Decepticon bit stops being a joke in the group chats. That's the one scenario where the coaching archive gets weaponized against the household. There's a subtler version of the table flip worth naming, the family court version. Multiple outlets, per the complex archive around the Jason Lee disowning, have logged a legal history between Blueface and Krasian that has resurfaced repeatedly over custody, paternity, and support. Any newborn entering that ecosystem is entering it downstream of that history. And the moment the new baby's name, birth certificate, or paternity status becomes public, a parallel legal echo from any prior party becomes a live headline again. That's not speculation. That's pattern. Watch for it. And the long residue, 5 years out. A kid grows up, and his origin story is time-stamped, monetized, and searchable. The interrogation his mother ran at 9 months pregnant. The sub-counter climbing, while strangers voted on her honesty. Whatever happens between Blue and Nevaeh, marriage, split, season 12, whatever, the industry lesson is already spreading. Couples watched a bedroom argument clear 12,000 subs and learned the formula. Suspicion sells better than happiness. Expect imitators. Expect worse ones. And expect a counter-movement, because there's always a counter-movement. Some subset of the audience is already exhausted by this format. You can see it in the comment sections under the World Star cut. This ain't cute anymore. Leave that girl alone. Why are we watching this? That fatigue metastasizes. Somewhere in the next 18 months, a rival creator will build a lane out of not streaming their pregnancy, not interrogating their partner, not monetizing their doubt. And that positioning will pull viewers, sponsors, and eventually the algorithm itself. Every extreme format births its own backlash. The question isn't whether the anti-format arrives. The question is who benefits when it does, and whether the household in that bed has already banked enough goodwill to survive the pivot. Zoom further, because the industry residue matters. If a bedroom interrogation of a pregnant partner becomes a proven format for gifted subconversion, platform policy teams eventually notice. Kick has already navigated multiple content standards flashpoints in its short life. A viral clip of a due date countdown running alongside a sub up if you think she lying prompt is the kind of artifact that ends up cited in trust and safety memos. Whether that leads to policy change, guideline revisions, or just quiet monetization tweaks, none of that gets announced. But it moves, and the households that pioneered the format will be the first to feel the friction. The pioneers always eat the first rule change. The last thing on this. Everybody keeps asking whether Nevaeh can be trusted. Almost nobody's asking what it costs to be trusted by the internet. 10 days and 9 hours. The countdown's still running, and the meter's running with it. Because think about the accounting on that trust. To satisfy a chat that she wasn't calling some man from last year, Nevaeh had to sit in a bed 9 months pregnant and let a partner run drills on her while a paywall tracked the votes. That's the invoice. And the invoice never actually closes, because trust extracted under those conditions has a shelf life measured in the next accusation. Next month there will be another chat rumor. Next month there will be another drill. The pregnancy will end. The audit will not. That's the deal she signed on to. And to her credit, or against her interest, or both, she seems to know it. She stayed in frame. She read the sponsor notes. She stepped into the co-host chair. Whatever her private feelings, her public choice was to build inside the format instead of walking out of it. Which brings us back to the number nobody stopped watching. 10 days, 9 hours. A due date is not just a due date in this house. It's a release date. And every release date in a content economy is also a launch date. When that timer hits 0, the story doesn't end. The next season begins, and the same bed, the same ring light, the same chat, the same coach will be waiting to run the next drill on whoever's turn it is. That's the machine. That's the meter. And the meter, as of this recording, is still running. You got the read nobody else was gonna print. Now fight me. Whose side are you on? The chat's or Nevaeh's? And does the baby rest the case? Comments now. Like if this hit. Subscribe if you want the birth week breakdown. Bell so it finds you first. Part 2's already cooking. Fame cryptics. Stay nosy.